I'm Cody Codeman. I'm so excited to do something I've been waiting for a while, and that is a theme month. This year, it's May, and now let's celebrate by doing a show that's kind of important. You know the movie Toy Story. Yes, there's a fifth movie coming up next year from this recording, but this year marks 30 years of Pixar's films. But today we're not talking about Pixar. We're going to talk about a toku. Yes, a toku because of the Chow Factory. Sorry about that. And that is the legendary CGI show that started for television, Reboot. And more specifically, the studio, Mainframe Productions. Yes, this is Mayframe. And we're going to kick it off by explaining what about Reboot. And I will acknowledge Reboot, Rewind, for if you want more information about the show or importances of it, but this is just my thoughts on it for this month, and I'm just doing the show in itself. I will spoil a few things if you haven't seen the show. I will spoil a few things that I know and care about, but let's begin by talking about Reboot. Hey, I'm Cody Comment. Today we're talking about a toku, kinda by the laws of Shout Factory, but the point is, we're doing Reboot, the first CGI show. Let me give you a little background information about Reboot if you didn't know. You know that song from MTV, the Don't Touch Him Microwave Oven? Yeah, that song began as the first CGI music video, which had another music video, and really, Reboot was done by the same people that did the studio of that Microwave Oven song. Basically, this show is very important with that effect for being the inspiration for Reboot, being the Dozen song with the two workers, crappy CGI. But the point is, Reboot was a great show. It was the first CGI cartoon. Okay, today is not really good, but it's still good in story, but bad with the effects because of early CGI. But anyhow, this video is all about Reboot. I will do other Mainframe show next month, in the coming weeks. But for now, let's start with the first show, Mainframe's first show, Reboot. Let me explain the plot right about now. Okay, Reboot is a show about a main city of Mainframe that lives in a computer. And yes, this show's whole premise is it's a show that takes place in a computer. Yeah, you know a computer, your phone, it can be anything now, but point is this show was groundbreaking. Okay, the movie Tron came out 10 and a half years prior, but this was basically Tron of the 90s. And yes, there's a Tron movie this year, Ares. Hope it's good, please. I feel like the only good Disney movie I feel like is freaking Hoppers, but that's in store. But the point is, Reboot is a show that takes place in a computer. Let me explain a few things because this is sort of my first spoiler, and that is the story, the origin story, which is not until season 4, but I will explain with Bob tracking down a virus named Gigabyte or becomes Megabyte. Yes, but Megabyte is our villain, and if you saw the show Cyber Chase like I did back in the day, you realize Hacker did in the Halloween episode, they made a Frankenstein monster called Gigabyte, which looks like Megabyte, which is kind of confusing, but seriously, that's the inspiration. There's no storyline thing. What is it, Bion? Target located. It's freaking Sponge Boy located the threat. Okay, tell me what it is later. I'm doing a review. Okay, fine. Sorry, storyline. But anyhow, point is, Megabyte is a very powerful villain. Basically wants to take over all of the internet, which he sort of did in the Reboot remake. Sorry, that was a joke because that's not canon. But anyhow, the point is, Reboot's great. Other villains include Hexadecimal, and yes, those are the only two villains, plus another villain in season 4, which is kind of temporarily, but not really a villain because of timing. But basically our show is 3 main characters for the first 2 seasons are Bob, who is our guardian, and I said earlier from the supercomputer, and our mainframe characters, where most of the other characters are mainframe located, Dot Matrix. Yes, her name is similar to the Joan Rivers joke from Spaceballs. I'm not kidding. Similar name, different character. Got that? Good. But basically, little brother Enzo, who's our token kid, basically these characters are kind of great, being a good trio with Bob, Dot, and Enzo. But the point is, there's other characters like Fawn, who's our token Asian character. Yes, a computer program show needs a token Asian character. It is just mostly wisdom, plus a few others like Mike the TV, which is just a joke on the Willy Wonka character, but done as more of a news anchor. Like, it's only $3.99! Like it's pretty funny, but as a side character, great. This show is good. I won't spoil the big... Okay, I will. In season 2, there's also a girlfriend character added, and also Mouse, who is basically our secondary female boy for Bob, but technically Mouse is our badass woman character, which is kind of good, like a strong woman badass, even if Dot is sort of badass in some scenes. But the point is, Mouse is not really a developed character, except for maybe like being the Southern woman, but point is great. This show is great. First season is not really good because it's just basic plot points. Until season 2's halfway part, where there's Brisket the dog. But the point is, season 2 is where the story kicks in, and most of this rest of this video is going to be all about the storyline of the show up to that point, from the halfway point to now. If you haven't seen the show, don't get spoiled. I will explain a lot. So if you don't like it, just end the video here and make it to last minute for like updates for the next show. But the point is, let's talk about it now. You have been forewarned. But basically, Reboot season has a weird slug creature that's basically when a program died from the games. Yes, the games are basically the show's main Mother Nature thing. But the point is, the main villain is the giant slug of the father. Yes, this is a weird plot point. They don't explain that much until the finale. But the point is, that's great. Then a game war happens where a bunch of the Megabyte tries to take over with a few crossover jokes of freaking X-Files. Yes, the show gets a lot of pop culture references that make you go, really? This is that quick? Like, I will explain in a moment, but the point is that basically, this is great. Basically, the fights are great. The point is, season 2 ends with Bob getting shot into the net. Yes, the net. The actual internet, which is funny, but dated. But the point is, Bob gets shot to the net. He's trapped there for the rest, until middle season 3, which I will explain in a moment. Season 2, this is weird because season 3 is basically sad for the first half, where Enzo, Dot, and the female girlfriend Enzo meets that lies about being a guardian too, with Bob saying he's a cadet, but really later becomes a cadet as like a joke scene where he finally becomes, because Bob knows he has to sacrifice himself, which is kind of interesting of a setup. But the point is, that's how the original show was going to end. Then we get to season 3, which is kind of the beginning of the new era or version 2 of the show. And you split every episode into 4-episode increments. So our first 4 episodes are Enzo battling the main now Megabyte by himself and Dot, which is kind of funny with a joke about House of the Dead or Resident Evil. I think it's House of the Dead for that joke. And freaking Dad. Second episode's kind of like set up for Trust or whatever. Third episode is a James Bond parody called Fire, Damn Burning in His Eyes. Yeah, this is actually best part of the arc is the Firewall episode, which is great. Then also Bob in our 4th and final episode of season first part ends with Enzo getting his eye cut, and Enzo, Brisket, and his girlfriend teleport. And yes, after episode 5 begins with a time skip. Yes, Seriously, there is a time skip. 10 years into the future. Sort of. I won't, like, setting wise. Basically, this is greatness, and basically Enzo becomes badass character Matrix. Matrix is my favorite character on this show for how badass he is. Even if this arc is basically, first episode is them explaining the rules to a random society that doesn't know about the games, which is, or how things work, as a funny episode, but good. Next episode, episode 2, is like a Star Trek Next Gen superhero episode. This episode's good, even if it has like a fake out Bob as like a joke. But anyhow, this episode's great as a superhero parody. Good. But in the next episode, it's actually a mirror image episode where basically Bob and Matrix thinks about his days as Enzo and basically childhood memories and him becoming Megabyte as like a nightmare episode, and it ends with golf course. And yes, this is the first episode I saw as a kid, was this episode, and the first episode of this part. But basically, these are the only episodes I saw most of the time I see, because Cartoon Network just airs the same episodes on the same day because the show doesn't have a lot of episodes. Sorry about that, but that's anyhow. But basically, this show is awesome. Next up is episode. Also, our final episode of part 2 reveals where freaking villains basically the Guardian stuff becomes evil and rogue, which is weird of a retcon, but kind of shocking, but great. Also, the Baron returns in this episode, setting up a character named Surfer who surfs on the net. I won't explain a lot more about the rest of the season because I don't want to spoil it, but I will just do bullet points of basically at the end where basically Bob is basically returned with a new look, which is silver and weird and long bangs. Technically, this look is weird, but now let's get into season 4 and yes, season 3 ends with a musical episode plus the system crash that's like a joke. But the point is, this series is great. But season 4, which I'm mostly going to explain for the rest of the video, will be great. Season 4 consists of 4 two storylines. One is the wrap-up stuff, which I won't explain because I don't feel like spoiling it. But the point is, next up is the final 4 episodes, or the My Two Bobs. Yes, at the end of part 1 of the final season, he teleports to Bob Returns. Yes, classic Bob Returns, and it was kind of weird that season 1 was an origin, season 4 part 1 was like an origin story arc, but this is now the arc about Bob returning. And basically, Bob doesn't remember anything after getting shot to the web. Foreshadowing of who it is. But the point is that a game disaster happens and they do a Pokemon / Street Fighter parody, which is kind of weird because this episode was show was in the 90s and they mocked Pokemon super quick. Less quicker than Chimpokemon from South Park. Got the fight, get by it, Chimpokemon! Sorry, but the point is, basically this episode is my least favorite game episode of the series. Like, if I had one game episode that I felt weird, this one feels weird to me. But anyhow, point is, Enzo and Classic Bob solved the problem. When do a joke about Bob, you're a renegade, you could cheat, which is kind of funny of a joke, but it's like funny. But next episode is basically Glitch Bob trying to figure out who he is now that learns he's not the real Bob, so you think. Then remember that slug thing I said briefly back in season 2, saying, well, it turns out that's the dad, and this is where the name drop is. And basically he turns into a character after the final game of the week in the entire series, being the some cat game that looks like VeggieTales meets a Toy Story, but with food. This game is my least favorite game, one of the weirder games, but technically with a 3 live joke, which made sense. Got that good. And our series ends with Megabyte returning, and he traps everyone, and now there's no way to escape. We have reached the end game. But that's it for the show because it ends. Sorry, this show was originally going to have like 12 episodes, but only had 8. Sorry about that this show ended. But anyhow, this is one of the best shows of the 90s. It's not good anymore with animation, but it still tells a really good story for its time. Hope you like the video. Leave a comment down below if you like Reboot and this great show. And if you see Reboot Rewind, that's why I didn't mention a lot, because that's a classic a newer show that's kind of great of explaining history, but for this video, it's just my thoughts. Yeah, so next time we're going to continue Reboot Month with a series that scared the crap out of me back when I was little, Beast Wars, and we're going to talk about the whole series, plus all the variants and all the other stuff you didn't know about. This is coming saying bye-bye for now. Meanwhile, Screw Coon, I need to destroy the plan. Okay, Screw Coon, paid it up. Wow, Hackabite's gonna kick your ass. Wait, what was that? Nothing. Wow, that's weird. Oh no, I gotta tell Bonnie on this. Now this is coming saying bye-bye for now.